Again, welcome to Police Journal. I'm Bill Dwyer. I've been the police commissioner here in Warren for now a little over 2.5 years, and at this time you are probably aware of it that I am retiring from law enforcement after 48 years. I've totally enjoyed it. I've enjoyed my time here in Warren. I appreciate the support that we have received from the citizens of Warren. I appreciate the men and women of the Warren Police Department. They do an excellent job for you. They're very community orientated. I'm going to miss the men and women. I'm going to miss again, the citizens of Warren. But it's time for me to move on. You may be aware of it that I've been elected as a county commissioner in the Oakland County, and I will start that position January 1st of 2011. So with my departure, I want to introduce now someone that you're very familiar with, that you've known for a number of years, your former Deputy Police Commissioner, now your Police Commissioner, who will take over this show, Commissioner Jere Green. Jerry?
Thank you, Commissioner.
Jerry?
Good to be here again.
Yep. Well, Jerry, I got to tell you, it's been a pleasure for me, and I sincerely mean this, it's been a pleasure for me to work with you for the last 2.5 years. You've done an outstanding job. I think that we've certainly made some improvements in the department for the citizens of Warren. I think that your leadership in the department in the past and in the future is going to just continue making Warren just a great police department and a department that serves the citizens of Warren. I think it's important that people know that you're community orientated, that you've got the background, you have your master's degree, you're a graduate of the FBI National Academy, your family, yourself, your wife, your daughters, your mother and father, and your brothers have all lived in Warren for, I guess, almost all your life.
Correct.
So I guess the first thing I'd ask you, Jerry, is, with my departure and you taking over, we've done a lot, as I've indicated. We've reduced crime significantly by 21% the first year that we were here as the commissioner and deputy commissioner. We instituted a number of community policing programs, starting with perhaps maybe the Senior Police Academy, the Junior Police Academy, the drug kits that we give away at no charge using narcotic forfeiture monies, the bicycle giveaway program. So there's been a number of programs. The Neighborhood Watch program was reestablished. So I know that some of those you're going to continue with and maybe build on. But what is going to be your first priority? You're now the police commissioner in Warren. So what do you feel is going to be your first priority?
Well, before I address that, I'd like to say that, as the mayor often said, that you and I were a good team together and that we accomplished a lot. And certainly I agree with that. You and I have developed not only a professional relationship, but a personal bond. I consider you a close friend. I've taken a lot of what you brought from Oakland County, and a lot of those things you just mentioned that we implemented have been successful, and your ability to network is probably unparalleled. I've been able to meet a lot of people in the law enforcement community that I'm sure those contacts are going to help me in the future with maintaining public safety here in the city of Warren. As far as my priorities go, I think, and you'll agree, that the first thing that needs to be tackled is the upcoming budget.
Right.
And with that budget, common sense tells us, it may not be another healthy year as far as budgets goes, but I want to maintain focus on the neighborhoods and policing the neighborhoods and keeping people on the street, patrol officers just by mere numbers on the street. Of course, that's one of the mayor's concerns. His priority is public safety. So it's a burden, but I think we can do it with proper planning. The other thing is we have 60 community neighborhood watch groups right now, 60 that are organized. And I
That's
think
excellent, too.
We can work on that, increase that, and it's been very successful. They've been the eyes and ears for the department. We've gotten a lot of information from our block captains, and we'll be able to communicate both ways with them. Other than that, a few of the other things that we need to maintain our focus on is identifying crime patterns and using directed patrol to snuff out patterns, things of that nature.
Very good. You talk about the budget, and for our viewing audience, the police department's budget is around $40 million, and of course, we're no different than any other department that's going through some very difficult times because of the economy. Our budget is shrinking, as well as other police departments' budgets, so you really got to cut back. But I know your main focus is to keep the uniformed personnel on the road so that they can respond to calls for service or 911 calls. So that might mean that looking into the future that you may have to do, and we talked about this before, some consolidation within the department?
Absolutely. We've talked about it as recently as yesterday, some consolidation and some reorganization with positions that we currently have. Of course, we realize that the bulk of our expenditures are personnel expenses.
Right, over 90%.
Correct. So that reorganization, I think, is going to satisfy us at least for the next budget year.
Well, when you look at consolidation, I know that, certainly, there are areas in the department that we've already, really, quite frankly, unfortunately had to eliminate, such as the DARE program. And I know that people were concerned about that, but, again, the bottom line is that when you call 911 for police or fire, you want someone to respond. And maybe in the near future, or in the future, I should say, that you'll be able to reestablish the DARE program. Any thoughts?
Well, there's some jobs that can be or have shared responsibilities. An officer can assume the responsibilities of another officer, command officer, for example. But the part of the field that we have to work through, the minefield that we have to work through, is we have contractual obligations that we have to deal with in the negotiations as well. Bringing back programs, it's really hard to say.
Well, when you look at it, let me just get back into consolidation of maybe not only consolidation within the department, but just consolidation in general. And I think that's the trend today, is consolidation. I mean, if you look at communication centers, I mean, there's no reason why there can't be consolidation in what we call the PSAPs, the public safety answering points. I mean, you take a city, for example, like Centerline. We could easily dispatch for Centerline, saving them funds. As we look across the Tri-County area, that's what's happening. I mean, if you look at Oakland County, there's a number of police agencies that are consolidating their communication center, and I think that's one thing that it could save money for other cities as well as for the city of Warren if you look at that type of consolidation.
And we've met several times and done research on that consolidation process. I know that St. Clair Shores, East Point, and Roseville have just consolidated and formed a consortium, if you will. They have an independent dispatch center for those three cities now, so that'll be something to keep an eye on. Macomb County, there's been talk in Macomb County about consolidating some records management systems and things of that nature. So it's an ongoing process. It certainly is the wave of the future.
Very good. By the time this program's aired, you'll have already selected your executive staff, which is very important. I think any commissioner, any police commissioner has to be able to have people that are obviously competent, that are loyal to him or her. And I think the people that you selected, that I also recommended, are going to be a great asset to you running the department and to the city of Warren. Any comments?
It's extremely important, and the way I describe it, the command structure is basically the lead, persons in the department, and we have people that carry guns, that have the authority to use deadly force, that have make decisions concerning people's civil rights, that makes decisions concerning people's liberties. You need an intact, loyal command staff to make sure that those people are playing by the rules and that they're doing things in the proper way. Training's a big part of it, but the command structure is extremely important.
Right. Well, again, I don't want to let the, as they say, the cat out of the bag, but by the time this program's aired, it will be out there. But those two gentlemen that you selected as your deputy commissioner and your captain, I'm very confident will do a great job for you. And if we look at the savings for a minute, as far as what we're doing, what you're doing in the department by myself leaving and by the positions that are perhaps not going to be what we call backfilled for the people that are getting promoted to your executive staff, we're talking you're going to be saving the city roughly $500,000, correct?
That's correct. And talking about savings, I would like to bring up one program that you and I have implemented that's been extremely successful in saving overtime is the KICK program.
Yes.
I mean, that's probably been the top overtime saving program that we've implemented. And that's where I'll let you describe the KICK program.
Yeah, that's actually something that we brought in from Farmington Hills, where the officers do not have to go to court on a traffic violation unless there's a need to go. We have one person that, there's maybe 60 or 70 violators that will plead to an offense. The city will gain the same amount of revenues, if not more, than if the officer was there. In the past, the officer was going to court. The people were pleading guilty in court, the same as they are now, but it was costing the city hundreds of thousands of dollars for the off-duty court appearances of these officers. So that's a great program. And to go a little bit further, we're looking now, I know that Rob Curtis and yourself and the judges are talking about the other program, which would include on exams for criminal cases, felony cases, where officers would go to court when there's an exam set up, and the exam is set up after the arraignment and before the trial. So they would go before the exam, but it's not a problem, but the concern is that 90% of exams are waived. That means that officers are sitting in the courtroom, subpoenaed, and getting overtime, and there's also civilian witnesses there being subpoenaed, and they're adjourned. And they go directly, they're not adjourned, I should say, but they go directly from the exam that's waived to the trial. So that's going to be a great program.
And with that savings in mind, another one of the things that I'll have to maintain focus on is that we've cut a lot of overtime, and it's helped us with our budget, and we're going to have to stay on top of that as well.
That's right. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.